Okay. In the meantime, where is everyone joining from? Is everyone at home or at the office? Or feel free to share maybe in the chat.
Yes.
I welcome you to my kitchen. Office
Okay.
today.
Office today, yes, for me as well. Andre, where are you? Are you home or at the office?
I am on site at a customer place because we are
Wow.
preparing, for
That's the ideal.
for an action, yeah.
That's the ideal spot. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, so I see that we have for the moment like 23 people joining, and we are expecting much more, as I understood. So yes, I think that we shall wait for another 2-3 minutes. So Raluca, you are today at the office. Anyone else? Where are you working from today?
Or, maybe if that's a secret and you don't want to share it with someone else, maybe you can just share what feeling you're bringing in today. I'm feeling kind of tired, or I'm curious, or whatever it is, it's okay. It's good for us to know, the vibe that we're addressing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's see if we can make it a nice atmosphere for us with all this online.
See, well, you know what's interesting, Denise, are the people that Anna and Andrea, they are working from home. It's with a smiley face at the end, and Luca is today at the office. It's no smiley face. Timișoara. Yes,
Okay.
it starts to be a bit sunny in Bucharest as well, but a bit. We had lots of snow last night.
Yeah, yesterday was a very funny day. I think we had something like 3 different seasons in the same day.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
We are welcome, Ioana. Happy that you join our session. Glad to have you. Okay, so shall we start? I mean, it's 11 and 5 minutes. Yeah, I think that we should start slowly, and we'll catch up with the rest of the participants as they come along, as they join. So good morning, everybody. I welcome you at the panel that we have about employee engagement and digital transformation. My name is Mihaela Perianu. I'm the managing partner of Dale Carnegie and of AIMS Executive Search, but today my hat is the Dale Carnegie hat. I have 3 guests today, and I will start with the ladies, with the lady. It's Denisa. Denisa Kashu is the academy leader of PricewaterhouseCoopers. She used to be my client in the past, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, and she was my client for many, many years in a row. And I was very happy to reconnect with her in the past 6 months as I was attending the coaching school, the business coaching diploma school that PricewaterhouseCoopers is organizing. And for me, it was an extremely pleasant and useful experience, and happy to connect with Denisa again. So thank you, Denisa, for accepting the invitation.
And thank you for, also being my client.
Yes, yeah. Marius Stefan is the CEO and the founder of Autonom. Autonom is an integrated supplier of mobility and financing solutions. They are now the largest mobility network in Romania. The reason for which I invited Marius to be part of this panel is that I'm a big fan of their organizational culture. The organizational culture that Marius and his brother managed to create in Autonom. Actually, they are recognized as best employer 5 years in a row. They were recognized as a best employer 5 years in a row by our own Hewitt. And by Business Review in 2019. And what's amazing is that they are certified by World Blue as a democratic workplace, which is, from my point of view, an immense achievement. With Marius, I worked quite a bit in the past years since we both were members of the Foundation Romanian Business Leaders. Now, Andrei is, I don't know if you like it or not, Andrei, for me, you are the coolest hipster ever. So I'm happy to have you in this panel. You are the founder of the first employee experience agency in Romania. That was 10 years ago. And I learned a lot from you because you are a big fan of technology and digitalization. So thank you for accepting the invitation, and thank you for being here with us. We will spend 1 hour talking about employee engagement in the digital era. I know that we all stretched ourselves a lot in the past year to adapt to what we are living. And I think that we all know that this dance between people and technology is a new dance that we are learning. It looks like we are scared one of each other. And what I'm hoping is that today we will get more inspiration about how can we smoothly dance between these two parts, employee engagement and digitalization. What I invite you is to, whenever you have questions or comments, to write them in a chat. We will have 15 minutes for Q&A before we end the session. But whenever you have questions or comments that crosses your mind, please feel free to address them, and we will dialogue more with you in probably like half an hour to 40 minutes. Marius, do I see you? Do you see me?
Perfect, no problems here.
Okay, so you know, you have managed to build an amazing organizational culture in Autonom and maintain it for so many years. Give us some, you know, the best things that you've done in your entire career to create this amazing organizational culture in Autonom. That is the one thing. And the other thing is, how did you manage to keep the organizational culture alive and, you know, in a constructive manner in these pandemic times?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I thank you for the question. It's quite hard to pick one thing, because I strongly believe that the organizational culture is, you know, a mix of many small things that we all do in our organizations. But if I have to pick one, I think you have the answer here, you know, in in my background, and it's not you know, a digital background. It's a real bookstore, you know, a book like my wife is saying. So you'll find something like this actually in almost any Autonom office. You know, so any agency in Bistrița, in Botoșani, in Satu Mare, if you enter one of our agencies, usually you will find a reading corner, you know, like some comfortable chair, sofa, whatever, and some books. And also, if you pay quite a close attention, you also see at least one Kindle, you know. So we use both, you know, classical book, and also give access to electronic copies. And also, but this is mainly on our colleagues' phones, we give them access to Audible, to listen to audiobooks. Okay, so, and how does this relate? You know, the books, just to have books in our offices to our employee engagement. And it's quite a personal story. You know, I was born in Piatra Neamț, and my mother during the communist times was managing the antiquariat, you know, for the youngest of you guys, for Andrei, the young hipster. How did you characterize him? Antiquariat, it's a second-hand bookstore, you know. So during those times, it was a big deal, you know, because the information was quite heavily controlled. So all the new books, you know, were censored and whatever. So one of the very few sources of information during the communist times were old books. And that's why they tried to limit this. So they allowed only one place in the whole county. So in the whole Neamț county, I was very fortunate to be born in my family, surrounded by books. So I had close to 3,000 volumes of books at home. And because during those times we didn't have a nanny or someone to stay with us after school, I spent all my childhood, you know, during the school year in my mother's bookstore, you know, and surrounded not only by books, but, you know, during those times there was people who were spending all of their afternoons in bookstores, you know, because they had nothing else to do. So I was also surrounded by people who loved books, you know, and I picked up from a very, very early age this habit of reading quite intensively. Even today, I read 3 to 4 hours every day. Since I read most of them electronically, I can count, you know, so every year the Goodreads account sends me an email with a summary. So this is how I discovered a few years ago that I read more than 100 books per year. And this really helped me, for both myself and my brother, because my brother is kind of in the same type of habit. And because as an entrepreneur, I have a privilege, you know, and it's the same thing is true for any team leader, for any CEO, or whoever is involved in an organization. And my privilege is I can try pilot projects, you know, I can try things in my organization and in all the teams I'm involved to see if I can change something for the better. And this is one of the very earliest efforts that we had in Autonom. I think it's older than 10 years, just to encourage initially and for people to read books. And we put a very, very simple objective: 1 book per month, you know. So this is what we like the Americans are saying, we strongly recommend book reading. But we took it one step further. Now whoever is hired in Autonom, they discover near the standard employment contract, they have an annex with performance indicators. And in performance indicators, there are only 2 things: the values, our company values, which are worded like a performance indicator. And the second one, they sign as a work obligation to read 1 business book per month. And
Marius, if I may ask, if I were to be your employee, okay, and I have to read 1 book, how do you check that I really read the book?
We asked ourselves this question, and we found an answer. So I think most of our companies have any kind of CRM implemented, you know, any kind of software that measures the satisfaction of our customers. Doesn't matter if you're business to business, you're business to consumer, doesn't matter what you do. I'm sure that at least we're thinking about we have access to a software like this. So our idea was to use the software that we have and use it internally in our organization. So what we do, instead of measuring the satisfaction of our employees, something that we do for our customers, we measure reading. And the way we do it, and we also, this is a separate discussion, we use it for our innovation system. We have a whole philosophy there. So every employee, every colleague gets 1 questionnaire per month, and it's a really, really basic and simple thing. They just ask them, like, what book did you read this month? And the most important follow-up question is, if you said something there, what did you change in your life or at work based on what you read? And we collect all these answers. And going back 1 step, if you have a customer who's unhappy in any CRM or feedback software, usually you get an alert. Said, okay, you have an unhappy customer or someone who rated you like 3 out of 5. In our case, anything under excellent, it's an alert. So if it's someone rates us 3 or 2 or 1 out of 5, the manager of that agency or of the department gets like an email with red letters, big bold red letters, says red alert. You have one review from this customer, whatever. And they need immediately to call, to take action, to whatever. So because we use the same software, the same kind of alert comes. So it happens that the managers, the team leaders, get an email say like red alert. You had one lady or one guy in your team who did not read the book last month. So what they do is they set up a one-to-one meeting, and then the last thing, and this is quite important, we have these monthly meetings, monthly department meetings or agency meetings, and it's a mandatory subject on the agenda, the book of the month, where everyone around the table, even a virtual table like this one, and we continued during the pandemic, the same thing, just shares a few things, what they changed based on the books they read. And if you are the only one, if I would be in our circle here, the only one that did not read the book, how would I feel? So I better be sure next time if I want to integrate in my team, that I'm going to do that. We use social pressure. It works like a charm.
So you still have this habit. It's still part of your organizational culture. People continue to read and to report on what they took out of this book, and how are they applying what they learned in the real life. Okay.
That's true.
And tell me, in terms of digitalization, what did Autonom do more of in the past year?
So a few very interesting things, and I think you'll find some different approaches. First, we recognized quite soon what we're facing, because being in our business, in the car rental business, and now, I shared that we transformed. Now we are a financial company, the largest part of our revenue, but having a strong division in the rental car, we had I don't know the opportunity to have the first positive COVID patient in our car in Craiova, at the end of February, beginning of March. It was that Italian who arrived with a Wizz Air company, and then he rented a car from Craiova airport, guess from where, and he went to Târgu Jiu. And then we had the first Romanian who got infected positively, officially, whatever. So when we had, and all our colleagues were quarantined, so in the office. So we understood, because we were, I think, the first people quarantined in Romania, so we understood how serious it is. I was in the US at that time at a conference, and I was heavily exposed to information, whatever, contingency plans, what they were thinking. So I managed to catch one of the last flights back home in Romania. So immediately we have prepared for something like this, not for a pandemic, but for an emergency. And we activated immediately our emergency things. And one of the first things that we did, we started to communicate heavily internally. So every week I was on Facebook. We have a private Facebook group with all our employees. We are in the whole companies we are involved. We have more than 20 companies. We are more than 700 people. In Autonom, we are 350. Every week I was there sharing what we know, what are the scenarios, and answering to the live questions from our colleagues. And then something else that we did differently, we started to broadcast publicly internally in the company all our management meetings. The discussions, the hypotheses, whatever, pros, cons, whatever, everything was shared. Because we have this policy internally of total transparency. For us, all our salaries are public, internally in our. So in this spirit, all our discussions, pros, cons, ideas, okay, we recognize that we are wrong, we take responsibility and stuff like that. So even today, and this is one of the practices we adopted, we never thought about it. But this pandemic helped us in increasing the transparency. And actually tomorrow we have our monthly management meeting that will be, again, it's going to be live, and everyone in Autonom has a chance to watch it. And according to our statistics, more than 70% of the people watches the management meeting.
And it's on Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook, but private group. Private group. And I highly recommend this. It's so easy. If you want to implement something internally in the company, if you don't have some legal troubles in your department, my advice would be use Facebook, because everyone knows how to use it. And it's so easy. You can broadcast trainings, you can put videos, you can put slides, you can put any kind of content, and people can interact with it, like it, share it, whatever, send it, all internally. It's just a private Facebook group. It doesn't cost a thing, and it's amazing. It generates such an interaction, and also because we have this social thing and it's related to employee engagement, we have a foundation, Autonom Foundation, and almost every day there is a project. Every year we do more than 100 education projects. So there's a lot of content that we can share with everyone, something interesting that's happening. So it's quite interactive and quite engaging.
Yes. Yeah, amazing. Okay. Andrei, thank you, Marius. We will get back to all the practices, and hopefully we will get more questions also from our audience. Andrei, tell us, what does it mean to have, what is it, an agency of employee experience? What's this?
Well, hello.
What do you do for a living?
Hello, everybody. First of all, Marius, even though I'm the next gen, or I don't know, whatever other hashtags that you might add to my age, I'm not that young, and I'm a collector of old books. So if that counts, I have entire shelves full of old books. I really love old books, and of course, I love the smell of it. Besides the content, so yeah. Well, doing employee experience in Romania, it is nowadays a challenge in itself. The wording employee experience, hashtag remote working, in appearance, it doesn't really match. However, I think that we've all found out, Marius probably, because he's like owning a full entire stack of employees. Mihaela is like working with different companies as we do, and Denisa is also working with her colleagues there. Engagement and employee experience is like the two key words in the last year. What we do in terms of employee experiences, Miki, we cover pretty much any type of project that has to do with employees in every single step of the employee experience journey. This means that we cover projects for recruitment, starting from recruitment, and that's mainly on the employer branding side. We go through onboarding, then we go through out L&D. By the way, Marius, yeah, L&D is an important topic, yeah, nowadays as well. And going further with reward and recognition, and also the internal employer branding that most of companies used to do quite a lot before the pandemics. So we are pretty much, the catch line is, wherever your employees, we are there as well. And our aim, yes, Miki, go ahead.
Yeah, can you give me an example of a project that was unique to you guys in the last year? I mean, how did the pandemic squeeze the lemon of creativity of Exploratist?
Okay, yeah, I think that you had a really good catchphrase yesterday. We are like the publicity agency for an HR perspective. So this is what we normally do. We do with this type of projects. So we've done a lot of things last year. So last year was a full challenge for us as well as it was for our customers, and most of our projects went on blending what we call internal comms. That was the main lead in most of the projects that we had, and that blended L&D, reward, well-being departments that joined forces to make more relevant what they've done within the organizations. And I will give you a couple of examples just to have a little bit more insights on this. For example, we had a customer that found out that their employees are looking for an interactive way of finding more information about financial education while being in this situation that we all are, of course. And the way that we've executed that was by creating the first financial educational sitcom in Romania. So we have eight small shows with actors full scale. So we've deployed that with characters that were quite exaggerated. And we've mixed that with some webinars that were quite serious and quite well balanced in terms of information about how you need to handle your financial information and money and investment that you need to do. So we've blended video content, which is quite a regular tool nowadays, with hands-on information of how you need to handle your financial situation, with pushing the information on the internal comms channels that we had with that customer available. In this case, it was the internet that supported this video content live. And of course, we've created a cool engagement campaign around the topic, because we are talking about a sitcom. So that's quite an unusual way of talking about finance.
Okay.
So this was one of the projects that involved, because this is something really valuable, and this is something that we really pushed our customers towards, that involved 3 departments: internal comms, reward, and L&D, because we had a mixture of everything in that execution. So this is one cool project that we had, and we've implemented with an amazing feedback from the employees.
Okay. Got it. Denisa, I know that you mentioned that Pricewaterhouse did the largest ever study of global workforce that is called Hopes and Fears, right? And you guys just finished this study worldwide. Do you mind sharing with us the results of the study?
Yeah, the results are publicly available. I will share the page so that you can see how you can find it as well. Basically, the study was released last week. It was carried out all around the world. Unfortunately, looking into it, I see that there were no respondents specifically from Romania. However, I think that in these times, having even a global benchmark, because we are all connected to a great extent because of this whole context. When it comes to hopes and fears, to a great extent, they seem to be relevant even if they are coming from different cultures and so on. And there are some differences that are highlighted in the report. So I can quickly share with you the screen in terms of how the results show up. So basically, if you just Google PwC Hopes and Fears 2021, you will see there what the highlights are, and you can easily access it from everywhere. So in terms of the needs and the hopes and the fears of people, there's been an increased demand of people wanting to learn. And of course, we as organizations, we try to facilitate as much as possible. But then at the same time, there's a perception that there is an increased level of individual responsibility about learning and moving along. So basically, companies are now in a position where they just need to facilitate access. And a lot of people will jump to that opportunity. There's been a lot of issues about inclusivity, about discrimination, and we all know throughout the last year there was a lot of tension around different stories. Obviously, there is a certain concern about the job security. But I think, and I think that has a lot to do with how we handle communication during these times. And I very much appreciate, the frequency with which, Marius, you were communicating to your teams. We had monthly webcasts in PwC with the top leadership team. And it was very, very useful. You could sense that, they were answering a lot of questions, and they were open. And when they didn't know, they said it. And that was really valuable. However, now hearing you're doing this on a weekly basis, I'm a little bit envious. Um, but it's an idea that we can build on. This full transparency, that you mentioned, I think it's amazing, because it a lot of the times it's having access to information. If you give a little bit of information, people will build around it, and they can build whatever they fear or hope for. But if you don't, give enough, you don't know where they will go. So I think an important element coming out of the results, which you can browse through, as I said, this is really available out there. But if you have, first of all, this transparency, and people are receiving the information that they care about, and then you also provide the support that they may need, or that they actually explicitly express that they need, then I think you have a really good working base. Of course, I can give you a lot of examples of how we use the technology and how the adoption of technology increased a lot in this pandemic year. We were lucky that, we had pretty much everything kind of set up with the Google Suite before the pandemic. So it was very easy for us to just switch to online. But then we started creating more and more communities, even parenting communities, where people would share and would say, okay, I have this challenge, or I don't know what to cook anymore. Can you please share some recipes from all walks of life? What we learned was, that there was the need, but if there wasn't a community manager to kind of keep that community alive and feed it with some info or some challenge, or just kind of keep it up in the back of the mind for everyone, then slowly, gradually, they were less active. So we did a lot of experiments, I would say, but we were really trying to respond to as many needs as were coming up. And
Denisa, sorry for interrupting you. So just a second. Once again, for everybody, to make sure, the study is available on PricewaterhouseCoopers webpage, right? And they Google, you guys Google hopes and fears, and that's it. Amazing.
Yeah, and you can find it. Yeah, and there are highlights there about, the fact that there is an increased preference for people to work, if not fully from home, but some sort of mixture. And there's very few people that think about, fully coming back to the classic way of working. And obviously that brings a lot of challenges to the leaders and to the HR people in terms of their workforce strategy, in terms of recruitment, in terms of how you keep the collaboration, how you keep close to the people, how you connect. So, for example, what we did in PwC, to give you another set of concrete examples, we started in April a resilience initiative, which included individual resilience coaching sessions, but also weekly, on every Thursday morning, silent coaching, which was kind of like a guided reflection or introduction of some instruments, some tools for people to really deal with their anxiety, with their lack of focus, with the pressure, with the tension in the relationships they were facing, whether at home or at work. So we were trying to take it on different levels. So there was this support mechanism that was constantly there, and you didn't even have to, have the camera or a microphone on, because the design was in such a way that you could benefit from it without necessarily having to share. If you wanted to share, you could, but you didn't have to. Then obviously there were different other initiatives, like, inviting all kinds of different experts on a periodic basis, separate from that. A lot of training on remote leadership, a lot of training on emotional intelligence, a lot of learning forums where people would come together and share their challenges or something new that they discovered that could be useful. We had a much bigger increase in terms of, working more agile and not doubling our efforts, which a lot of the times is the case, especially when, there's a crisis. everyone wants to know, okay, what are the technology? Everyone wants to know how do we do that? So then I think introducing a clear objective and structure or criteria for meetings was really, really helpful, because we started thinking of meetings in a completely different way. Let's not do it for information updates. When we, what are the tools that are supporting us in the back in terms of providing that information update? If we're talking about tasks and status on projects and so on. And the meetings, keep them for actual collaboration, for actual decision making, for sharing the challenges and for sharing the, the things that we're proud of. I think that brought a lot of efficiency.
Okay.
And it maybe reduced a little bit the, the tiredom with all the video conferencing and
yes, got it.
So,
thank you, Denisa. Yeah. Andrei, tell me, is it still new for the market when you talk about employee experience? Do people still wonder what is it, and where can they use employee experience? Was it a bigger request for you guys last year due to the pandemics?
Okay, very good question, Miki. The answer is a little bit more complicated. I think most of the organizations in Romania are not fully aware of what employee experience really means. I mean, there are really a bunch of organizations that have an employee experience strategy behind it. And the definition is quite simple. If you have a seamless type of employee experience journey from onboarding till the moment that your employee is exiting your organization, it means that you have a round strategy behind it. If you don't have the same type of message, the same type of voice, the same type of interacting with people on each and every stage of of this cycle, it means that you are looking just on a segment type of way of this full strategy that could be behind it. Most of the organizations, I think that they are really striving to understand, and they are now eventually seeing the importance of connecting internal comms with well-being, with rewards, with performance, why not, with onboarding, and I think the good side of the pandemic is the fact that people really got the idea that you need to have the same message in each and every step of the way. So
what do you mean the
we are
same
here.
message? What do you mean the same message?
Meaning that we have a saying, the promise that you make when you are recruiting, you need to keep it while you are in the organization. So if I'm a rookie and I'm entering, for example, PwC, and I'm meeting with the recruitment manager, right? He's recruiting me. He's like selling me the company with every good part of the company, right? Okay. And then when I enter that company, I need to find in the onboarding process the same type of promise that the recruitment manager made me while he was recruiting me. And then while I'm on my onboarding journey, even if it's a digital one or not, I'm progressing into the organization, into the development stage, right? And I'm meeting with trainings and workshops and different type of experiences. Now, if this is not linked with what I got promised, I will get really fast disconnected of that promise, And if you go further, it has to do with performance. It has to do with the reward system. You need to have the same type of message in order to be consistent. So if you are striving into that direction, I think that we are on the good side.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what platforms do you use to ensure that this is happening for your clients?
Well, you've made a good point at the beginning of our conversation that we are tech savvies.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we love technology in everything that has to do with employees. Of course, for us, having a face-to-face conversation or an offline type of experience is more meaningful, and it is like that because we are humans and we are connected with emotions and with social interaction. But we are in a situation right now where that is no longer that much possible. So a blend of technology with a good implementation system of the offline connecting the teams or the employees, I think it's the most good option here. And we use technology in every step. So we have a platform that can deliver a digital onboarding process. We have a system that can deliver a learning experience process, of course, blended with different type of experiences. We use technology to help organizations to push their internal comms boundaries, you know, because if you are looking at the organization nowadays, they only have emails and intranet. That is really like 1999, if we can put it like that, you know. People are connected now. They need information. You need to have the information really fast delivered to every employee that you have. So if you are disconnected in any situation, for example, HQ is very well balanced because everybody's in the same platform. But if you are looking at I don't know, full retail flagship stores, 900 stores all around Romania, you will see that people are not connected with HQ, not even by email, or factories or manufacturing, you know, and you need to connect the dots. And if you have the dots connected, then information streams into the system. And while employee has the information, or the information is received by the employees, I think you can mitigate a lot of situations and gossips and different scenarios, most of them negative, because if you don't provide the information, there are negative scenarios, right, by each and every one of us. So information is the key, and you need technology to push it and to reach your employees. And we love doing that. I mean, we blend this.
It shows.
Yeah.
It shows. Yes. Marius, thank you, Andrei. Besides what you said, that you are heavily using Facebook to stay connected with your entire team, what else is it that you do that keeps this democratic workplace and engaged workplace?
What we find out, it doesn't matter so much the medium. And by the way, we adopted the hybrid way of working, and in the spirit of autonomy, you know, the name that we have at the entrance of any agency or department or whatever, we delegate this decision to each and every team. So they have the freedom to decide how do they want to work. You know, after the quarantine passed, we understood that we have to take a decision, and we said, okay, we are fine with any option, with working from the distance or working from office, and with the caveat that more than half of the people, you know, they're working on the field, they're delivering cars, they are going to the service, whatever. So this activity yet, due to technology constraints, cannot be, you know, fully moved online. But for the people who can work from home or from anywhere, no, we don't have any restrictions, you know. So every team organizes by itself. But what we keep as a top priority is to respect the rituals that we already have in the company. The daily report or the daily check-in. We have also a weekly staff meeting in all the departments. The monthly meeting, it's quite an we prepare quite a lot for this one, and it takes between 3 and 4 hours, so it's a heavy thing, because we want to give a voice to each and every one of the participants. And also we have this performance review that we have every 6 months. Everyone in Autonom goes through this, and it takes minimum 4 hours. You know,
per person to review.
Yeah, or any agent, even if you're you know, like 6 months old in Autonom, when the time comes from the performance review, you have to prepare. You know that you have 4 hours uninterrupted with your supervisor, manager, whatever, and you know that what you're going to discuss the most, you know, besides the KPIs, indicators, how your work is doing, what are your plans, if you're in sales, whatever target you have, whatever. But most of the time, you're going to discuss about personal development. You know, about how am I going to become a better person in the next 6 months until the next performance review. and we go in so many details, you know, because we have several tools that we use, you know, for L&D. I shared about books. We have a target for the number of hours of training internally. You know, so the average, the target for each and every employee is 50 hours of training per year, but the average for 2019 was 68, and last year was ridiculous because we had so much training online. It was much easier, and so many people participated. It was more than 80 hours of training per year. And we also, this is mandatory. So reading and training, this you cannot escape it. But we also have offered two optional things. We have budgets for every employee, offer them coaching or mentoring. In my head, it's pretty much the same thing, but I'm sure that there will be people who are going to explain to me what the difference is. But anyway, for us, it's in the same bucket. So we encourage everyone to go outside the organization, find someone they trust and respect in order to have this kind of monthly meetings. And if needed, if they need, you know, like professionals, we can allocate budgets for that as well. And the force.
Sorry, yeah. This is amazing. I didn't know about this. Tell me, Marius, so each employee in the company has access to find its coach/mentor?
Yes. Yes, wow. It doesn't matter where in the countryside. Sometimes it's a little bit difficult to find a mentor in Botoșani, but at least we're trying, you know. But now with the internet, whoever is willing to have these sessions on Zoom, not a problem anymore. So, and the fourth thing is, and this is the least used, and in my opinion, I think it's the most powerful tool that we have in our organization for continuous learning. We encourage everyone to join a mastermind group. You know, we call it mastermind. Actually, they're just groups, people who are passionate about the same thing. Usually it's personal development, entrepreneurship, you know, or sometimes in the countryside, you know, they just want to talk with other people in business. And we just encourage them to take the initiative, to set up their own groups, to invite people from their communities, and just to make sure that they're meeting every month. And then they set up their own rules. We have some guidelines, whatever, but it's not like a franchise or whatever. We have some ideas. And the tool that we use, which is not online, it's an offline tool. I'm looking around, I don't have it with me in the other room. We use this kind of playing cards. You know, have a set of 100 playing cards. And all the meetings, we start with, you know, playing a game. And the game, you just pick a card. And on all the playing cards, there are questions. And there are all kinds of questions. Some of them business related, some of them family related, some of them quite personal. Just to give an example, like, okay, when you're small, which person did you admire the most? You know, or when was the last time that when you laughed, you know, you cried so hard, you know, you laughed so hard that you cried. Or questions like this. And it helps a lot to start any meeting with an icebreaker like that, because it makes a transition, you know, from outside to the environment, from whatever work problems you have, to be really present and connected to the persons you have here. And again, they're small things, but there are many. And my job and you know, our manager's job is just to make sure that we respect all these rituals that we have, and the frequency it's there, and then we just let the magic happen.
Yeah, amazing. I would love to spend more time with you guys. It's getting very interesting, but we have 10 more minutes until our panel is ending. So for the participants that are attending, please, if you want to address any question, feel free to do it to any of us. I don't know, Andrea or Alexandra, can people unmute and ask, or how is it going? No, they cannot. So then
they can raise a hand and we can unmute them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see any hand. Pe când o carte despre ritualurile autonom. Wow. This is, I love this question. So Marius, Raluca asked, it's an amazing question. When are you going to write a book about the Autonom rituals?
funnily enough, it's something that I'm thinking about, for the last few years. But funnily enough, last week I received a call. I won't share the person's name, but it's someone very, very dear to you. Someone called me and asked me to write a book together about Autonom and whatever. So we'll see. I said, yes, I would be interested, but now we're going to start exploring to see. So if this project will happen, most probably the end of next year, we'll have something on the market. But again, it's something that I would love to do, but I think I lack a partner in this endeavor.
Yes, so I know who your partner is. Yes, yeah. I guess that I know. Amazing. Okay, very good. Raluca, thank you very much for this question. It's, the universe is conspiring in the sense that somebody had already the idea of writing. I'm just curious because you guys are Autonom is, just a second, I have a question from Valentin. Foarte interesantă ideea cu cărțile. Cum vă asigurați de păstrarea standardelor și bunele practici dacă fiecare este liber să încerce ce dorește în modul în care lucrează?
Știi că întrebarea, așa ce puțin acum e formulată, mi se pare că are așa o foarte ușoară doză de neîncredere.
Which Marius, we should switch to English, which I totally relate. I relate to Valentin because, we have this lack of trust. I mean, it's, I feel him.
Let me share something. We had at one conference, someone approached me. This happens a lot. And he told me like, I have been following what you're doing in the car rental business, whatever. And I have just one question, but it really, bothers me. And I said like, please, I'm very open, So he said, I also have a car rental company in Ploiești. He said, and following your, example, whatever, I tried to open another car rental company in Buzău. And said like, and oh my God, it was the worst experience of my life. People were stealing from me. They were renting their own cars, whatever. It was a nightmare. And when I look, on our website, you have, now we have like 46 agencies. How do you do it? I cannot, I'm not sleeping well at night. And my answer was very simple. It's like, we trust our people. We just start, we always start with trust. I shared something, that autonomy actually is one of our management philosophies. And the way we define autonomy is just a combination between freedom, something that Valentin was mentioning before, and also, and this is the important part, and I think this is what Valentin is asking about, and responsibility. And the responsibility, it's the sum of all the systems that we have in place. If you study innovation, you'll discover that the constraints actually improve the innovation, generating innovation.
It's a prerequisite.
Yes, so there are some constraints in Autonom. There is everyone who's responsible for anything submits a daily report of activities. And who do they submit it to? So they submit it to all our employees. Every day we get more than 80 reports, 80 reports, so there's a mirror at the end of the day that you have as an employee, as a manager or as a supervisor in Autonom. And then you have all this financial controlling and everything. So it's okay. You have to feel, you stay in the system, and in this something that we agreed together. It's the way we do things. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you feel best is for you and for the company and for your clients.
Amazing. Ioana is asking you, Marius, did you ever let go of any person for not reading a book?
Yes, this happened, but a long time ago, and it took only like 1 or 2 persons, and then everyone knew. So then,
it's just setting the example, right?
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. Good. We have 4 more minutes. Andrei and Denisa, is there, any thought that you would like to pass to participants, like, for 1 minute to share something that you would like to pass on to audience that will be relevant for them in terms of employee engagement in digital era. Just to sum up the intervention.
I think, you know, we've all been very seduced by the examples from Autonom, so
yes.
It was great to be here. So I will try to link something, you know, from both Marius and Silvio, and it's something that I'm going away with. For example, it's, you know, the employee experience, of course, ideally, you know, what you promise is what you should get. So what if you cannot promise a lot? I think there's a dynamic there, and I think that as long as you are true with what you've got, you know, the good and the bad, the brave and the ugly, and so on, as long as people know what they expect, even if it's not always, you know, great, I think that level of authenticity has a great capacity for connection and building. And I think, of course, if we strive to have some rituals that are aligned with our values, as long as we stay true to those, you know, everything else will fall into place. And yeah, I would also encourage the freedom of letting people contribute. In what we did, one of the things that we did in PwC, for example, in the learning environment that we have, everyone can contribute with content and create playlists for themselves, for their teams, or for anyone who wants to see. So I think encouraging people bottom up to share and facilitating that in the digital era with whatever tools you have, I think you will be surprised of how many things come up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Andrei? One last thought for
yeah.
Loving people and digital stuff.
Yes.
Loving them both equally.
Exactly. Just keep in mind that I think being agile is the key word of nowadays, and agile means agile. And agile means blending everything, not forgetting that we have like technology available with us, but we also need to combine it with real emotions, with empathy, with connection, and it is now possible that. So we are not in a stage where we need to actually challenge ourselves for free, but rather look at the solutions. And there is this saying that I heard from my customer yesterday: it's progress over perfection. So I think
amazing.
I think it's
progress
a really good
over perfection.
Yeah.
Yes,
So, yeah.
that's great. Yes. Guys, I want to thank you very much. You, all three of you, are are a source of inspiration for myself, and I've learned so much from you, not only now, but whenever I'm interacting. So thank you very, very much for accepting the invitation, for sharing with our participants your words of wisdom, and hope to have another opportunity to connect and to have more time to discuss these topics that are so inspiring for all of us. So thank you, and happy spring, happy pandemics, happy life. Yeah, to all of you.
Thank you, Mihaela. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Miki.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed this very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.